Welcome. It's really good to be here today. My name is Grace, and I'm a PM at Microsoft Mixed Reality, specifically focusing on the Mixed Reality Toolkit, or also known as MRTK. I'll be honest, it feels a little weird to be up here right now because just a few days ago, I was in Boston for graduation. I was a COVID grad, which meant I spent the last 2 years at home and had graduation a year late. And it kind of sucked. However, one good thing did come out of it, and that is learning how painful and draining Zoom meetings were. Does anyone else here feel the same? Nice. And during that time, how I wished I could see people in 3D or even just get the feeling that we're in the same room again. And when I joined Mixed Reality and started learning about the tech, it blew my mind. I was like, this is the future. Every one of you guys sitting in this room today, you should give yourselves a pat on the back because you are building solutions so that generations ahead will never have to face that again. And with that in mind, today I'm here to talk to you about how we at Microsoft are innovating on the future of mixed reality developer tools. And so, high level, I'll go over a few things with you guys today. I'll give an overview of what is the Mixed Reality Toolkit. Then we'll reflect a little on the previous versions of MRTK and talk about what inspired our upcoming release of MRTK3. I'll give you guys a sneak peek of new highlights in MRTK3, and I'll wrap up by talking about our future roadmap and plans. So let's get started. Who here has used MRTK before? Nice. Okay, so I'll give a quick overview. In order to understand what is MRTK and why we built it, we need to understand the history behind mixed reality content development. So in the beginning of HoloLens 1 days, in around 2016, developers had pretty limited options for building content. So today, we're really used to using Unity for easily building immersive XR experiences. Unity didn't have nearly as robust support for these technologies back then. And so we had to go and build the support for devices like Microsoft HoloLens and Windows Mixed Reality headsets. We went in and built all the tooling, the input functionality, and interaction systems. And while we were doing so, we realized that there are a common set of problems that every developer runs into when making an app for AR or VR. And we decided to build a toolkit of solutions for these problems. And that's how MRTK, previously known as Holo Toolkit, was born. And there are 3 core pillars to MRTK. First is that MRTK supports a wide range of devices. We know that in today's XR industry, it isn't wise to target just one device or even one manufacturer. So that's why we made it really easy for you to build and deploy the same mixed reality app across a wide range of AR and VR devices, from Microsoft to other manufacturers like Meta, Valve, and Magic Leap. MRTK also allows for increased development velocity and faster time to value. So instead of having to build and deploy your app every single time you make a change to device, we provide a set of in-editor simulation tools that allow you to evaluate your app with articulated hands, eye gaze, and other types of input. So let's take a look. And so here you can see, you can do this all in the editor. And for those who do want to have faster testing on device, we do have 2 options, which is holographic remoting on HoloLens and Link on Quest. Lastly, MRTK has always been an extensible and customizable platform. Because we're an open source project, we've had many great community contributions that build on and extend the current MRTK offering. So developers can swap out core components of the MRTK framework as needed to suit their needs. And these three things, being cross-platform, having fast time to value, and being extensible, are central to MRTK's design philosophy. And these things will always hold true no matter what version you choose. And they'll always hold true as we go forward and build the next versions of MRTK. So now that we've gone over a bit of history and background to MRTK, let's take a look at MRTK v2. MRTK v2 was a pioneer in mixed reality development. And I want to start off by first saying thank you to our amazing community who voted us Best Developer Tools at the Augie Awards last year. We are very grateful, and this little guy sits in our pod watching over us as we code every day. He runs a tight ship. When we were building MRTK v2, there was pretty limited support in Unity for mixed reality content and interactions. So we had to go in and build the spatial interactions, the hand tracking, and other XR input requirements. Things like grabbing an object and moving it around was incredibly difficult to do. In addition, there were no built-in XR interaction systems in Unity. So MRTK, like many other frameworks, had to provide our own manipulation and interaction infrastructure. And adding on to the complexity was that MRTK v2 significantly predated many modern cross-vendor standards like OpenXR. And so we had to provide our own cross-platform abstractions. And despite these challenges, MRTK v2 succeeded in providing a cross-platform XR development framework, albeit with a lot of custom systems. And as a result, MRTK v2 is very feature-rich. So let's take a look at some of the features MRTK v2 had. First, on the top left is our object manipulation feature. This allows you to move, resize, and rotate an object quickly and easily. And on the top right is our bounds control. This allows you to configure an object to react to a user's input. So you can see here, as this person's hand gets near the mug, a box lights up that shows the user what kinds of interactions you can perform on the mug. And then here, on the lower left, is a hand menu. This allows the user to quickly trigger the hand menu by simply flipping their hand, and you can access the most frequently used functions. And then lastly, on the lower right is the spatial awareness feature, which provides a collection of meshes that allows you to map the environment. So here you can see this little box perfectly follows the wall thanks to the help of spatial awareness. And this is a very small subset of features we have in MRTK v2. MRTK has been used in a wide variety of applications. From healthcare to manufacturing to education, the possibilities are endless. So now let's take a look at some real-life customer examples of MRTK in action.
We very quickly started working with the headsets to identify some use cases. So when you place the headset on your head, what the user will see is a virtual screen or a mixed reality screen, which they can position into any real space in the room that they're standing in. And on that screen at the moment will be the face of one of their colleagues who will be interacting with that user through a webcam based on a desktop.
So here, we saw doctors using Dynamics 365 to practice safer methods during COVID. So instead of having to send in all the doctors into one room, you can just send in one doctor while the others call from the safety of a different room. And now let's look at another video in which it shows how HoloLens and MRTK can be used to better visualize 3D content.
Medicine is in the midst of digital change. Mixed reality and artificial intelligence are already improving patient care today. Virtual Surgery Intelligence, or VSI, is doing just that. With this software solution, MRI, CT, and other medical scans are displayed in 3D in Microsoft HoloLens 2 mixed reality glasses.
Nice. Industry and manufacturing have also done a lot of great work with MRTK. So here we see a technician using Remote Assist, which is an app built using MRTK to solve a power outage in a simpler and more efficient way. So now you've seen how powerful and feature-rich MRTK v2 is. You might be wondering, why did we make an MRTK3? And the short answer is because of you, because of our community, our customers, who continuously push us to be better. We love hearing from you guys, whether it be on Twitter, GitHub, or Holo Developers Slack. Our team gets so excited when we hear from you. And through hearing your feedback, these are the main points that made us decide to make an MRTK3. First off, when users would bring in MRTK into their projects, it would bring in every single feature and component. Even if the user didn't want or need every feature, everything was included. So in other words, MRTK v2 was a bit monolithic and difficult to isolate into modular components. Another limitation was the inflexibility of our UI tooling. So basic layout things like resizing a button or aligning an icon, things that most front-end developers take for granted, weren't really possible with our 3D UI in MRTK v2. In addition, especially on mobile devices like HoloLens, performance was often a challenge on your v2 app, especially with the large code base you're bringing in. And of course, as the industry is maturing, new standards, APIs, and technologies have emerged. And Unity's support for legacy APIs were quickly reaching their end of life. So our customers needed first-class support for new standards such as OpenXR. 3D UI is hard enough, but binding it to your dynamic runtime data can be even harder. And in MRTK v2, we largely left this up to the user to figure out, which was a big pain point for a lot of people. And most importantly, XR and MRTK by extension are fairly inaccessible by modern software design standards. And so users with different abilities can find it pretty difficult to use XR devices and applications. And we have to do better. So taking a look at these things, MRTK3 is a complete redesign, a fresh start that takes advantage of all the conveniences that Unity gives us today, the conveniences that we did not have when we were building MRTK v2. And so now let's take a look at some highlights of MRTK3. Like I said, MRTK v2 was a bit monolithic, where you had to bring in the entire code base and library of components when you only wanted a few things. So in MRTK3, we have a brand new architecture. We're more modular. We've broken down MRTK into many individual packages that you can install. And these packages can be independently installed and updated. So now you don't have to bring along all of MRTK just to get the pieces you're interested in. And before, in MRTK v2, the UI tooling was a bit inflexible and layout was hard. So in MRTK3, we've combined our rich 3D UI with the canvas layout system. So now you can build UI that's both immersive and tactile, as well as automatically laid out and resizable. And this next slide is one of my personal favorites. MRTK3 builds on the strengths of others. In MRTK3, we are all in on OpenXR, which allows us to streamline our cross-platform support story. In addition, we're also built on top of Unity's input system and Unity's XR interaction toolkit, which does a lot of what MRTK v2 used to do. And so now, instead of having to reinvent the wheel, we can take advantage of these new developments and focus on what we do best, which is building delightful spatial interactions and rich UI. So now I want to talk a little bit about the design innovation that we did in MRTK. Here in MRTK3, we introduced a brand new mixed reality design language. This design language is based off of years of research that our design team did with the community and our engineers. And if you've used the Mesh app on HoloLens 2, you may have seen this design in some places already. And to give you guys a bit of a comparison between the old and new visuals, here on the left is the original HoloLens 2 style. And of course, we won't have a specific forcing mechanism for this update, so you can continue to use the original style if you wish. But as we continue to build new products, we will use and evolve this new design language on the right. Microsoft does a lot of work in the interaction design space. And MRTK3 is a fantastic platform for making new interactions and building apps that leverage those new designs. Because of MRTK3's new architecture, we make it extremely easy to build just about any type of interaction you can think of. So let's take a look at an example. Here on the left is a new interaction that allows you to target an object with your eyes while selecting them with your hands. While here on the right, you can really quickly and easily build something that allows you to draw with your finger or a pen or play the piano. And the best thing is that all these interactables provided out of the box are built to be forward compatible with new input modalities that you might build in the future. And so this ensures that your app will always continue to be working, even when new devices, sensors, and interactions are developed. Lastly, as previously mentioned, data-driven UI is difficult. And so in MRTK3, we provide tools to more easily data bind your UI, as well as offer additional theming options. So here in this video, you can see that not only is the content in this app dynamic and driven from data from the internet, you can also theme the appearance of the app at runtime. So now you've had a sneak peek at our new features to come. You might be wondering, when can I try them out? And I have good news for you guys, because it's very soon. In fact, just next week on June 8th and 9th, we're going to be having mixed reality dev days at Microsoft. And this will be both in person on Redmond campus and also virtually online. And here, during these 2 days, we will be having our MRTK3 public preview debut. And we have a fantastic schedule of sessions lined up with technical deep dives on MRTK3. And we also have a panel where you can come and ask our team any question you want. And so I highly encourage you guys to sign up if you haven't already. And then during the fall to winter timeframe, we're going to be having our MRTK3 GA. Now I want to emphasize, I've been talking a lot about MRTK3 today, but we are still fully committed and invested in MRTK v2. In fact, just a few days ago, we released MRTK 2.8. So now, to wrap up, I just want to say thank you to our amazing community who's continued to support us. We're a pretty small team at Microsoft who's passionate about building the best developer tools for you all, and we welcome you to join us on the journey forward. And I put my email down here on the right if you guys want to follow up with any questions, and I'll also be outside in the hallway after this talk to answer any questions directly. Thank you.